Hello. Hello. Look at you, Miss Lanny.
Hello, Miss Mary Ann.
Hello. Hello. Hello, Mr. Jim McCormick. Brenda. All right, what else do we got going on here? Okay, let me see here. Jim, were you able to figure out what the heck's going on?
Visa doesn't like me unless I go through PayPal.
Oh, they wouldn't let you do it.
Don't know why. So I'm just going through PayPal twice and getting Linda and me paid up.
Okay, good. Yeah, you know, I got a weird thing because I tried to attach one of my accounts to my PayPal account and it won't, yeah, it's not, you know how it has to give you those little deposits? It won't do it. And I keep calling the bank and they're like, well, we never had any problem. I'm like, yeah, but it's not working.
Oh,
So,
well. Workarounds.
I know it. I know. Technology. Love, hate. Hello, Dr. Lisa. Hi, Angie.
Hi.
Good to see you guys. Well, Angie, I'm not seeing you, but Hanny. Woohoo! Hanny, are you going to get to see Tom while he's over there?
Hello. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Don't even post those pictures of those weird eggs. That was just like, I looked it up because I thought it was ice cream. I don't know why it looked like ice cream.
Oh, no.
That was crazy. All right. Hello.
Hi, Marianne.
That was loud. Hi, honey.
Pamela, I don't see you, but I can hear you.
You don't see me yet? Okay, let me see if I can fix this. Why wouldn't you be able to see me?
I don't know. Just a blank screen.
I see that. I shouldn't be.
Hello, Adrian. You're blank too. And Angie. And Hannah.
That's really weird.
Weird. Oh, I can see Diane. Hi, Diane.
Well, Marianne, Tamiko made it this morning in Denver.
Oh, wow.
She drove through that snowstorm from Chicago all the way to Denver.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
There's a lot of us were.
yeah. There were, you know, my lady that came out on Saturday, she made it to Grand Island. She left Saturday, I think it was, and made it to Grand Island. But my sister-in-law was out here, and they drove back on Sunday, and I never did hear. I think they made it back. We can hope. All right, there's Adrian, and now I'm starting to see people.
Yeah, but that's weird. How come it's
not? There's Denise. Oh, you took your little, Denise took her little thing off. But I have like a hot pink. This hot pink looks good. Tell me what you think. See? Isn't the hot pink?
Oh, yeah. Ooh, nice. Yeah. Should I log out and log back in and see if that does it?
Up to you.
Oh, there you are, Pamela.
Oh, there we go.
You came up. There you go.
Okay.
You know, poor Alex. Okay. Alex had that. No, but on the other Zoom, he was having such problems.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Every week, and I had the same thing, and then all of a sudden my computer self-corrected somehow.
Did something.
It's weird.
Oh, look, everybody's like fixing their hair.
I know.
I just got in from mowing.
I got mine up.
All right, I'm going to mute everybody. Denise, hang on one second. All right, you're ready to go.
I'm ready to get the pressure.
The pressure.
Hi, everybody. Wow. You know, I was just, we have over 1,000 people on 65 and a Wake Up, which is just absolutely blows me away because when we first, gosh, I guess this has probably been almost 6 now. You know, I thought it would be a group of like 20. And now we have 1,000 people, and everybody is dipping their toe in, and it's so great. And just seeing the progress. And I tell you what I love is hearing after people complete the 65 days, you know, how their life has shifted, not just because of doing the coffee shop interviews and their longevity business, but even more so how their life has shifted for the better, personally and spiritually. And that's what's amazing to me, is all these things that we would have never guessed would be repercussions are happening. So yeah, it's just amazing. I just spoke to him briefly. He was in the airport about ready to head to Taiwan, and he was going to see if, I'm looking to see if I see a number, but I don't see him on here. If he is able to jump on, it's 6, 7, it's, you know, like at 9 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, so Pamela, why don't you unmute? And if you would.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, my dear.
How are you? Tell me about how the book club is going.
Oh, really, really well. Now, there's a question I have, because I know Thursday is the big meetup, and I know that there are a lot of people who've said to me that they can't be at the book club this Thursday. So I don't know if maybe we should postpone it for 1 week and wait, since there's going to be so much going on. But we had a really, really great time these last couple of weeks with getting started with the one thing. And remember, everybody, that this is what Denice had read, that was the whole concept of the timing needed for the 65 days in a wake up, being that 66 days is the average for all of all the concepts of what it takes to create a habit in your life. And so we're starting out going 2 or 3 chapters every week. And it's really interesting because there's a lot of things that we're learning. And last week we started out part 1, which is about the lies that mislead and derail us. And those are the lies of success, which is really kind of fascinating. Things like multitasking, things like that, things that we're taught that are things we should be able to do to be successful, and that are really a lie. They're really actually bad things we shouldn't do, because it means that we're really not doing any one thing good. So we're gonna go through the book first, and then we're gonna go through the workbook, the 66 days workbook. And this is great if you need to do the documenting, because it has the pages in the back for the documenting of every single day, and it talks about today's domino. And that what that comes from is in the book itself. Gary Keller talks about how the force of one single domino becomes exponential in growth over the course of time. And so if you put a domino into effect, it is going to, over the course of time, be able to do something bigger, 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 and then it's going to show some massive changes in your life, whether that's your personal life, your business life. But I love how the workbook talks about that, of your daily domino. And it kind of also helps us to understand that by doing something small every single day, which are those 2 coffee shop interviews and 1 3-way, is enough to make everything kind of come into place over the course of time. And as you go through the process, at first you'll think, oh my gosh, how in the world are we going to talk to 2 people in a day? And then about 1/3 or 1/2 of the way through, all of a sudden it comes together and you're tripping over people, because things are starting to come back. People are coming back and asking you for things because you haven't pushed them. And so that's really a phenomenal thing to experience as you go through this process.
That's awesome. I think I just read yesterday something about how there was somebody, and I can't remember, I think it was in the New York Times, but they said something about how this author said, don't do New Year's resolutions. They don't work. And he suggested If you have a goal, breaking it down into, like Martha Beck says, really super easy instructions. Like if you have to work on a PowerPoint, and line it out. Okay, what do you have to do? Open up the app, name the PowerPoint, create the cover page, and do 4 things. And what happens is a little bit like the domino effect, is that you start something, and just the start of it is enough to propel you into the activity, where 9 times out of 10, you think that you're going to just start it, and you end up being able to finish it because of the momentum that you get just from starting it.
Yeah, that is so true. And isn't it true when we have people who are going through all of these different weight programs, whether it be the Rev 90 or the keto or the wellness, that getting started is the hardest part, right? Getting it going is the toughest thing. And then once you get into the action, whether you're starting a new eating regimen or a new workout routine, it's that whole idea of, oh my gosh, if I could just get this thing started. Once you do, all of a sudden it becomes so much more comfortable that you can enjoy it better, and it becomes something you look forward to rather than something you dread.
Yes. And did you find that with 65 and a Wake Up?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And then I didn't want to stop. I kept going and kept going. And so I've got this list of stuff that I'm doing all my follow-ups on for. And that's really where where the rubber meets the road too, is that these activities that come together, and you have to learn them in the right steps, because if you do them out of order, you're going to mess up. And that's one of the other things that Gary Keller talks about, is that you need to be able to, remember, you need to walk before you can run. And, when Tom and I were talking that day, and I said, it's kind of like you have to be able to add and subtract before you can multiply and divide. And so then you have that next step that you can build upon. And so, if you have children or have dealt with children going through a growing process of learning, it's very, very similar. And so you should always treat the people that you bring into the business in a very similar way, because they don't know all this stuff right from the day they walk in the door. And you need to be able to have a place where they can learn how to do it. And that's why 65 and a Wake Up is so critical, because it puts people in the right mindset, gets them doing the right activities, gets them being encouraged. When there's sometimes that time where they start to fall off the wagon, they get that buyer's remorse where they get excited and then they start to freak out and say, what have I done? I have no clue what I'm doing. And that's where the camaraderie and fellowship is so critical to help those people to be able to get to the next level.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they can kind of hang out and spy as long as they want, and then dip their toe in. And that's it sort of mistakenly was brilliant.
I think you have the right to say that. Yes.
But I have to say, so much of the success was it was definitely a coming together between Tom and I and figuring. But it was also, the magic was after the group was formed, and then all of you that's the secret sauce, I think. That's really what makes it so special, is the feedback and the camaraderie, and we're holding the ladder steady so you can climb on up, and so and that's you all are what make it special. And I see so many people on here who are graduates and have already gone through this. And, it's so great, because your commitment, it's like, I'll never forget when Bob Chris said that, opportunity meetings aren't for us necessarily. They're for guests, and so I don't show up or not show up based upon if I have a guest or not. I show up because I want to support somebody else if they bring a guest, right? Because there's no my team if there's not our team. There's no longevity if we don't all support each other. And that's how 65 Wake Up that, it's you're here, you show up, even as graduates, you've been there, done that. It's not like you're, okay, now I'm out. Now you're even more committed than ever to helping everybody else.
Very true. Absolutely. And that's important because you also have to remember we need to pay this forward. When we're there from the beginning, there are other people, and we should be bringing our team members in. And so we're not, it's not just for our particular private teams, but it's, a rising tide raises all ships. And so we all work together. And there may be some times where I have more people from my particular downline that are in a group, or you guys may have somebody from your downline. But if we all do this together, everyone will benefit. And that's the beauty of this, because it's an unselfish way to help each other. And it is unlike anything else in any of the other industry companies that are around, because I've been around, and this does not happen like that.
No, you're right. And that's one thing that I hear so often when people come into Youngevity is we state one team, one dream. And a lot of times people come from other companies and they think, yeah, that's what they all say. And then they get into the company and they spend a little time, and most often people state, you know what, I thought that was, a bunch of bulla, and, it really is true. And another, I was talking to somebody in the young team in San Antonio, and I said, she wants to go to the Vegas event for Most Powerful Women in Network Marketing. And I said, well, you realize that you'll get a free ticket if you do the 65 and a Wake Up. And if you start now, you'll be done in time to get a free ticket. And she was like, she didn't even know that the 65 and a Wake Up existed, and that was a byproduct of completing 65 days. And she was so excited and so thrilled. And so that's another thing, is the payoff is not only in doing what we should be doing to build our business, but also, it's sort of the meeting after the meeting. They say that, the meeting's important, but what happens after the meeting, where with the camaraderie and the team building, that's really the most important part. Well, and that's what happens when we go to these events, like, the GoPro or the women's event or the ANMP. And, by the way, the ANMP is one of the most amazing events that nobody knows about. This year it takes place May 31st to June 3rd in Dallas. And, so I think I can't remember what it costs. Maybe Marianne does, but it includes all your meals, and it's just amazing. It's so cheap, and it's a much smaller group than the GoPro group, but you get basically a lot of the same speakers and more. And so, if that's just FYI, Dallas, May 31st, join us. We'll be there.
Yes.
So
you know what though? I want everyone to understand too that having the success of going together through 65 and a Wake Up, and then having that tremendously generous gift of being able to go to GoPro and spending that time together. And Susie Schiffer was kind enough to open up her home to us, and Leslie and I stayed with her in her timeshare, and it was fabulous. And honestly, we had such a wonderful time staying up all hours together, talking, in the evening and at night, and just spending the time together and learning about each other and talking about things we understood and things we had learned through our process of growing in the business and in the halls here. And it really is something that you should not miss. It's such a generous gift to be able to have the opportunity to do so. And I am just so grateful to you, Denice and Tom, for, allowing me to be able to be there.
Oh, well, we had so much fun. Every time we have so much fun. Leslie, Marianne, will you unmute Leslie Johnson?
Am I unmuted?
There she is. Yes, you are.
I lost myself on my own screen. I don't know how to get myself back, but here I am. I just wanted to comment publicly on something I said to Tom privately, and that was I so appreciate Tom's strong leadership to be able to lead so many strong individuals. I'm a strong individual. My upline's a strong individual. Pamela, I was roomed with Pamela, she's talking. She's a strong individual. Everyone Hanny Sai, all these people I've met in longevity, they're very, very strong people, committed people, directed people, self-directed people, highly motivated people. And the fact that Tom and you, Denice, are leading us in such a gracious way, I cannot commend and thank you enough for that direction. It's probably not easy to lead strong people, but you guys magically and faithfully do it. And again, I've already said this to Tom, but I just want you to know as well, Denice, that it's a wonder what you are doing. And I tend to hang with strong people. It's always been the way I've done life. And I function very well with strong people and easily submit to gracious, strong leaders. And I'm just finding myself here again. I've been doing this my whole life. I'm now 57, just meeting you guys. And the pattern of my life is falling under the leadership of gracious, strong individuals that I want to follow. So thank you.
Wow, that's so awesome. And you know what's great about that? And thank you, Leslie. That's so sweet. And but here's the thing. When I hear that, what I hear is, first of all, you having the courage to hang with people like that. That takes a special person, right? I mean, we always say reach up. Don't try and pull people up. Reach up and hang with those people. And so that's, when you said you tend to be magnetized towards strong people, that's a huge is a great characteristic.
I think it says something too about the culture of longevity, or just the group that I tended to be with, which is Tom's group and Lorette's group. So I don't know a lot of people outside that, but if that's the representation of what this whole thing's about, it's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Adrian has something that I think that would be really great to share if we could unmute Adrian.
It's not about the app.
That's okay. We want to hear about that as well.
Yeah, I'll give a quick update on that. But I was telling Denice earlier, I met a young guy named Giovanni who is in isogenics. I met him at GoPro, and he came up. He was a follower of Dad and Denice on Facebook, and had kind of been following along in some of the things that they've shared outside of longevity about the coffee shop interview and about contact mapping and about doing these, 2 CSIs and 1 3-way call every day. And so he and I had been trying to connect since November, and we finally had a chance to do it last night. And it was just this unbelievable conversation because he was totally bought in. He understood what contact mapping was. He understood all the pieces, but he was stuck on how does that really translate into how do you get results in your business, and how do you he hadn't quite connected the dots. And so we started talking about 65 days in a wake up, and that power of that habit and the power of what happens when you do that. And I shared with him just a little bit of my own journey and my story as I went through those 65 days. And, the thing is, if you're committed to your business, if you're a networker, there's going to be lots of days where you're going to have 3, 4, 5 coffee shop interviews in one day. There's days when it comes to you, but what shifted for me was that there's days when it doesn't come to you. There's days where you are head down doing admin stuff or working on this or working on that. And you don't just have two interviews show up on your doorstep. You have to actually go out and try somebody and try to be open and try to make a connection. And those were some of the most powerful conversations and the powerful growing moments for me, was figuring out how to do that and figuring out how to be open and to look for somebody who might be looking for you and to be a listener and all of that stuff. So that was a huge transformation. And then we talked about the three-way call and just what an incredible tool that is when you really learn how to deploy it in the right way in your business, where you are setting it up powerfully with the person, where you are really sharing a great map with your mentor on your prospect ahead of time, so that the expert knows how to speak right into the listening of that person. And if you do those things, I genuinely think that the three-way call and the CSI are the only, you could build your own business entirely on that, with no events, with nothing else. And events, when those things are huge, they're incredible. But just those two things alone, you can build a business. And he totally caught fire. And it was just fun to hear somebody who's in a different training system in a different company, who, this kid is a real student of the game and follows, Richard Brook and all the experts out there. And he got it. It switched on for him. And it was just a great validation that what you all have, what we have as a group, is something that I don't think exists anywhere else. And it's really powerful, and we can do this together. And so it's just so cool to see all of you on here and doing everything. And we are, I'm so fired up. I have my belief of this in you just goes, I feel like it can't go higher than it does. So that's a pretty good place to be.
It is crazy too when you talk to people in other companies and you start to share just this very simple concept of a coffee shop interview, and how blown away people are because I think I take it for granted to a certain extent, doing a coffee shop interview, like, doesn't everybody do that, but it's so funny how it really is. This is foreign. It's a skill, just like the other 7 skills that Eric Worre talks about. This is a skill that you develop, and the only way you can develop it is through action. Sandy has a question for Adrian around Trello and follow-up. So maybe we could unmute Sandy. Do you see her? She's leaning over with glasses.
Yeah, I'll jump in for a second while you unmute Sandy. So Sandy put a couple questions out, and we can talk about this. I'd actually think it'd be great to open it up to a few other folks to talk about how it's going for everybody using Trello, and just share some experiences. But the idea is that the contact mapping app will replace Trello. We'll be working on a solution to help you migrate your stuff out of Trello and over to contact mapping. That's something that's still to be done, but we have a path of how we're going to do that. So that's out there. But Sandy, I'd love to hear from you. I know you're getting going on Trello now. I'd love to hear how it's going for you, and to hear others chip in and share their experiences. Hi, Sandy.
Hi. Yes, I really appreciate. I had to go back in my notes and look for your directions, and I'm getting all of our contacts put in there and making notes, and we're able to use it on the phone as well through the app. So it's useful. I guess I was kind of wondering if other people have gone through the process, because since I just started entering them all in there, and I was able to connect it to a calendar where it gave me my appointments so that they would pop up in the morning and let me know that I'm supposed to be following up with certain people. So I have noticed it is quite useful that way. And I was just curious if there were other people that were having success with it as well. And I'm excited to hear that we'll be able to migrate all that information over, because it is quite time consuming, I guess, when you first enter the information. But once it's there,
take some time to get it in there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Anybody want to share some experiences that they've had with with using Trello and how it's going for them? Maybe pop a note in the chat if you want to, and we'll unmute you.
Sharon wants to know what I'm drinking. It's lovely. So that it's a green drink, but then I also put more of the greens in it, is what it is. I'm trying to, sort of, I think the greens are good because it is good. But I like green drinks. I don't, I try to not do too much sweet, but the anything green is alkalizing. And so, especially like I'm trying to counteract any acid with alkaline. And so if I have a cup of coffee, then I like to do something green, if that makes sense. Okay, Susie, do you have a question, or do you want to talk about using the app?
Yeah, I was just going to chime in a little bit there. So what I've decided to do is not add every single person that I have that I previously interviewed on 65 and Wake Up. I'm adding people as I recontact them. So they're otherwise I would spend a lot of time just putting people in, and I wouldn't spend a lot of time doing what I really should be doing. So anyway, and what I tell you what, Leslie Johnson and my sponsor, Ann Gilbert, we've been really working together. And when you're working together with two other people and you're trying to keep track of everybody's stuff and people, it's really hard. But, when you really commit to it and you're working together every day and you're like, okay, I talked to this person yesterday, I did this, blah, 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 this is where we're at. And Leslie and I keep saying, I'm like, Leslie, she keeps texting me and it's really cute. And I'm like, just put that stuff in Trello. So we just are laughing at each other all the time because it is a shift and it's very helpful, but it's a shift. But once you start using it, boy, throw away those old Excel spreadsheets and move into the Trello app. It's really great.
Don't you feel smart?
Yes. And it was so simple to actually, get started. Adrian, you made it so simple.
Oh, that's great. Is anybody?
I'll pay you later, Susie. Thank you.
Susie, you do. You have such a great voice. I mean, it's like, it's like an angel speaking through the airwaves. It's so clear. And is anybody having difficulty using Trello and getting started? Maybe if you could write in the comments, we could give you a little guidance, or if you have other questions. One of my favorite people on earth is Gary Brooks. I see him eating his dinner. He's making me hungry. No, you don't have to
know the rules. You're not allowed to eat on here.
Or be on the beach,
party.
right?
What are you talking about?
Oh, you're so cute. One of the kindest people on earth, Gary Brooks. Dr. Lisa, do you want to unmute Dr. Lisa?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Great, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. How can we help?
Well, I don't get out of the house a lot. And so I tried, the start of the 65 and Wake Up. I made the decision to do it. And around day 5 or 6, I was just, I hadn't contacted any people. And so I was really thinking of using social media to I have friends on social media and that I haven't contacted, and also just to take advantage of it. And it just, every time I see the green dots, where knowing that people know when I'm on and stuff like that, it just terrifies me. So I'd like some help with that, because I know I'm sure me, but
So you're talking about as far as like Messenger, if people know that you're live on there, and in
right.
What parts, when you say it terrifies me?
Well, because I get friend requests that I don't know the people, and so I'm not always sure, what their intents are, or I don't remember, like, people say, "Hi, how you doing?" And it's like, am I supposed to know you? And I don't know. So it's just the beast of social media that I haven't tamed mentally yet.
Yeah, and so it feels like there's like a little trepidation around boundaries and knowing, first of all, like, don't ever give out private information on. Like, I don't have my phone number on my Facebook page. Tom has it like front and center. That's fine for him. Like, I have certain boundaries. And so if you contact me through Facebook, it'll be through Facebook Messenger, or well, that's really about it. I think I have my email on there as well. But so, you have to decide for you how much information is the right amount.
Right.
And then it is a matter of sort of dipping your toe in and just seeing, what's comfortable and what's not. I would start to go back to people that you knew in the past, whether it's high school friends or college friends or parents in the PTA or whatever. Go into different communities and start to friend people so that at least that you have that that basis of contact to begin with. And then maybe go into different groups that you're interested in, because there's so many Facebook groups, whether it's, if you're a cat lover, find the cat lover group and, start developing friendships and communication with certain groups where you have some camaraderie. And that would probably feel a little bit safer. Pamela, I know you probably have some input too.
Yeah, I was saying you can create specific boundaries that, strangers can't see your posts, that they can't see that you're on, those kinds of things that you can set up through managing your space in Facebook or, whatever you're talking about, whichever social media if you're using.
Yeah.
Facebook is the one. Yeah. And Facebook has a lot of security measures, people are even very secure about their kids. I mean, we didn't let our kids get onto Facebook until they were, older. And that's something I always have to talk to my kids about and be very conscientious, because there are people out there that don't have the best intentions. So if you create those comfortable boundaries, like Denice was just saying, get into groups of people that you're familiar with, where it's a safe place. And that's what I always talk about, is that, like 65 and a Wake Up here, the book club, these are safe places where we can talk with you and help you to be able to overcome those concerns, and building up the courage so that you can know that you're going to be okay. That sometimes, like the old story of the elephant in the room is the telephone. When you try to call somebody that you think it's going to be 2,000 pounds, and you finally get to the point of being able to pick it up, and then you finally talk to the person, you realize it really wasn't that big of a deal. It kind of goes back to what we talked about those beginning steps, and the beginning is the most painful part, and overcoming the obligation. And actually some patients of mine that have anxiety, people that I know that are dealing with anxiety issues, they'll say that it's not the actual activity itself that's the problem, it's the anticipation, it's the beginning and thinking about getting it started. That's such a big deal. And that's maybe that can help. So, do it with a friend, do it with somebody until you feel safe enough to be able to do it alone. Maybe that's something. Have a buddy, somebody from your team that can be there with you so that you can kind of work together on it. You can even create group conversations in Facebook Messenger. And so therefore you're not all by yourself. And so, hopefully that will be helpful. And, bringing us in, that's what those three-way calls are good for, is that all you have to do is to be able to do the introductions to edify the guest and to edify the third-party expert, and then sit back and just button your lip. And one of my mentors had always said, when they talk with their prospect, they'll say, "So, did you see what I did during this conversation?" And they'll say, "Well, you just said, this is Pamela, this is Steve," and then you kind of sat back and said nothing. And she said, "Yeah, that's right. Do you think you could do that? Could you sit back and say nothing?" And they're like, "Yeah." All of a sudden, it's not so big, bad, and scary because you're working together as a team. You don't have to do that heavy lifting yourself until you're ready. When you now have a team of your own and you become that third-party expert. Does that make sense?
Sure, absolutely.
Is that helpful, Lisa?
It is. I think maybe I have to study Facebook a little more. Like there's some guy winking at me. I don't know what a wink is, or just stuff like, it's.
People are strange. Just ignore those people.
It's so funny, isn't it? All this technology. Leslie just put something up on technology, and it's like, we think that all these tools are making our life easier, and in so many ways it makes life more complicated. And I feel that way because it used to just be the phone. Somebody picked up or they didn't. You left a message or you didn't. We didn't even have voicemail for and then it was email, and then it was voicemail, email, text, and now it's like Messenger, and it's how many different ways do we have to communicate? And sometimes I feel like I'm like spinning plates a lot of times, like, did I check here, did I check there, oh my god, this slipped through because I'm not checking all the different doors. And so it really is, it can be, and so that's why for me, Facebook is Facebook, email, text, and even with Facebook, I had to limit it to, I probably pop on there twice a day is all, but I can get sucked in because I feel like I'm catching up so often because I'm not popping on there all during the day. So I think you just have to figure out for you what works and what doesn't. And then as far as your personal page, I'll tell you all that really what they're saying out there for your personal page is to have 60 to 70% lifestyle and, family and what you love doing, and then 30 to 40% business and promotion, because people hate being pounded over the head with, oh, you got to try my products, or, lose weight now. And so, and we talked about this a little bit on Saturday at Youngevity University, but, if you want to learn how to do Facebook better, go to other people's pages that you admire and just spy on them, and one of the ones that I use to spy on is my friend Haley Hobson, who is in doTERRA. And she lives in Boulder, so she's just down the road from me, but she's been very successful in building her business via Facebook. And so I kind of watch what she does. And so that's what I would suggest too, as far as Facebook.
Can I just say two things? One, I did three-way call for one of my downline, and I coffee shop interviewed him, and I know this guy after that interview, and he knows that I know, him and what he needs, and he ended up getting a CEO pack, even though he didn't want to do the business. But, he said, well, I'm going to call it a family pack. When I told him, that's one of the names we call it. And it was great. And when I talked after the call to my downline, he was like, my mind is blown, So the coffee shop interview is absolutely powerful. And he was asking me, well, what do you say when people say, what is it, and you want to just give them a tool or something? I said, well, I'm coming to the conclusion that if they ask, what is it, you haven't asked enough questions.
Oh, sweet.
And the other thing is that I loved hearing Tom and Ray Higdon together, because that was like such validation of really focusing on the customer first and being interested more than interesting. And so that was an awesome interview.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Lisa. You're a rock star. You're doing this, and that's what, it's just a step at a time. So you're doing a great job. And yeah, Ray Higdon what a great guy and what a great heart. It was a terrific interview.
Okay, you can mute me now.
Okay, Dr. Lisa. She's like, take me off the big screen. Let's see. I'm trying to read am I speaking at GoPro? Not that I know of yet. I have not gotten that. So I may or may not. They haven't, the board is not full. I looked the other day, but I haven't gotten an email requesting. So we'll see.
I did see that Sandy had her hand raised before. Are you still needing to ask a question, Sandy, or are you? Hang on one second. There you go.
Oh, thank you. I was just going to follow up on the Trello and just thank everyone for their answers on that. But Denice, the only reason I asked was because there are women that I want to encourage to join 65 Days in a Wake Up. And if I knew you were speaking there, that would just be an extra bonus plus to plug them into the program now. And that's why I asked. So.
Salt in the wound. Thanks, Sandy. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'll let you guys will be the first to know, I guarantee it. It's nice in a way. Either way, I'm good. It's a blessing either way. That's how I look at it, right? It's nice not having the pressure and being able to totally and fully be there as a student, because the problem is that I am, of course, a little self-absorbed, trying to, last minute, like, remember my stuff that I'm not, a lot of times, not fully present. So I'm good either way. What else do we have? Anything? I heard somebody. Do you have any other questions? Are we good? Should we wrap up early? I know Tom does steal all my notes anyway. That's what happened on Saturday for Longevity University. I did this beautiful PowerPoint on the change cycle, and which I presented before at a Super Saturday, but it was, I drew everything out on those big, huge, sticky pages, and so I had done a beautiful keynote presentation on the change cycle, and Saturday morning, Tom says to me, "Grab your notebook. I got to figure out what I'm talking about." So yeah, I know he's a cheater. We all know that. Okay, well, you guys, anything else? Last call, as they say. Thanks, Sandy. I love you all. Thank you so much for, hey,
Wait.
Oh,
This is
wait.
Lanny.
Hey, Lanny.
Hi, sweetie. I just want to tell you that every time I hear you do a presentation, you are better and better and better. And Saturday was the best.
Oh,
I loved it.
Thank you. You know what was cool about that is, and it's on, on my Facebook page, there's Alex leading up to me. But the change cycle is it's an interesting concept from Martha Beck, that we all go through the same 4 cycles. But so many people came up to me and said, one person said, "You know what, I just found out my husband served me with divorce papers." And she said, I can't even tell you how timely that presentation was. And so it was really, and then a couple other people texted me and said, "Can we sit down and sort of do a deep dive into the change cycle?" And so it really, I'm grateful that it touched so many people, but it's really great information just to know that, we all go through this same 4 cycles in big ways for big transitions, and also in small ways, just like, whether you're starting to work out again or whatever it is. So anyway, watch it on Facebook if you want to see that. And Marianne, Dr. Wallach, I'm so grateful because Marianne has decided to bring Dr. Wallach to Colorado, and she's totally handling everything, doing this on her own, which is just, it's so amazing, because that's the mark of a true leader, is when you have enough gumption to go and do that. That's great. So Marianne, do you want to just say a few words about that?
Yeah, I'll say a little bit about that. It seemed like it was a great idea, and it still is, but it is a lot of work, and you're right. It's, how do you know when, leadership and what you were talking about is really one of those things when you're doing something, it's much bigger than just for yourself, right? I mean, this is for all of us here in Colorado, all the leaders. And it's going to be a great event. I mean, we actually have 3 separate events going on. And so, if you know anybody in Colorado, if you have anybody out here that you think this would be a great, and if you want me to call them personally and invite them, I will do that and help you guys out any way I can. So just let me know. But it's gonna be so much fun. I'm really, really excited, and it's all coming together. It seemed like this. It's kind of like the whole 65 and a wake up, right? It was like way out here, and it's just slowly but surely just all, getting figured out. So, and thanks to everybody that's participating and helping. And we've got the one down in Littleton, and Victoria Barron. You guys heard her on the Hair on Fire call this morning. That was great. And she's just tiptoeing back in a little bit here and there. So that'll be fun. And then the one in Longmont will have a bunch of stuff going on. So come on out and see us. Go skiing.
We may or may not have snow. You never know.
Right.
So yeah, Longmont and Littleton is basically kind of south of Denver. Those are the two locations. Yeah, it's and Littleton's closer to Colorado Springs. It's probably about an hour drive. Cool. All right, you guys. Well, we will wrap up, and thank you all for being on. Tom, of course, I think he's in transition right now, going from China to Taiwan. So, and he was doing well. I with all, he had the the nasal thing going on, and then I sent him with PureWorks and different oils and all sorts of things. So I'm praying that, because I guess the flu is kind of bad right now in China. And so, and he's like a little kid, like he touches everything, like railings. You know how you, in airports, you do your best to not touch anything? He's like the opposite. Like he's touching everything. Like he'll put his computer on the trash can, like stuff like that. It just drives me crazy. So I said, stop, don't touch anything and wash your hands a lot. So we'll see how that works. And the date of the event for Dr. Wallach, Marianne, is the 24th and 25th. Is that right?
No, you're thinking of the other event that we're working on. This is February 6th in Longmont and 7th in Littleton. I'm putting it up there.
Jen. That's sorry. Yes. We have so many different things flying around. All right, good. Yes, you're right. I didn't. That wasn't even anywhere close. Okay, good.
Okay, we got it now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right, you guys. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for everybody participating. And it takes a village. And I love you all so much. We'll see you next week. And we'll hear you on now we have the one-star Zoom. God, now I have to put makeup on that day too.
I know.
Right?
Such pressure. All right. Love you guys.
All right,
Love you guys. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Have a good rest.
Guys, we'll see you later. Have a
Love
good
you.
night. Woo.
Thank you. Thanks, Denise.